Next on our program is a video. The video was produced by Andrew Stevenson, and Andrew, the brother of Janine and the uncle of Brianna, and his daughter Emily and his partner Debbie Leslie are cherished members of Bob and Eva and Michael's extended, blended, wonderful family. And they live in Toronto, and Andrew is a filmmaker, and he produced this film. Unfortunately, due to family illness, they are unable to be with us tonight, even though they had very much hoped to be. So, can everybody see? Yeah. Okay. So, we know that there are many people who have memories, stories, love about Bob that they want to share. And so we're going to have a bit of an open mic. There's a mic here and a mic there. On both sides, just like, you know, you don't have to be pro or con. Like, it's all pro, okay? And one of the names Bob called me over the 45 years from time to time was Diana Decisive. And so I am going to ask people to make short comments because we do want to get on to the party. And I'm sure you won't want me to have to be Diana Decisive.
And just to reinforce Diana's point, Eva and Michael both have said that they wanted a chance to party tonight. And so we want to get to that as soon as we can, but we also want you all to have a chance to say what you want to say. So life is about balance. Let's start with Maureen.
Thank you, David. My name is Maureen MacDonald. Like all of you, I have many circles of friends, as did Bob. And in the Venn diagram of Bob's life, those circles overlap sometimes. And so I'll tell you that I'm in the teacher activist circle, and the Georgia Strait Guitar Workshop circle, and the Puget Sound Guitar Workshop circle, and the More Than Just Pay circle, and the Just Plain Friends Who Love Each Other circle. And Bob was a very, very important person to me. And I had a relationship with him from about 1975 when we met to 1995, 20 years of wonderful singing with Bob, and in the group that we formed called More Than Just Pay, where we sang at many anti-government rallies, any government. And we had a great time. And then life changed in 1995 when Bob and I and half of More Than Just Pay, 5 of us from More Than Just Pay, of the 10, went to the Puget Sound Guitar Workshop in July of 1995. And Bob and I were lifers. Now some of them came back, some of the More Than Just Pay people came back 1 or 2 or 3 times, but we were lifers since 1995. And we were pretty jealous of some of our Puget Sound Guitar Workshop friends who, the workshop it's 3 weeks in the summer, but you go for 1 week and there's courses and so on, and then there's another course and another course, 3 weeks long. Some of our friends went for all 3 weeks, and some went for 2 weeks, and we always had gone, since 1995, to 1 week of camp. But last summer at camp, we said, next year, let's go to 2 weeks. So we were planning to do that, and there are a lot of friends. I'd like you to wave the Puget Sound Guitar Workshop people who are here in Bob's honor today. They've come a long distance. And I thank them for coming. It's great to see them. Bob really liked to wear Hawaiian shirts, and that's one of his Hawaiian shirts hanging up there in life size. No, actually, ask Eva to tell you the story of that. It's quite beautiful. And I want one more thing to say, that the way that Bob touched everybody here in the same way, in that he made you feel like you were the only person in the world who mattered at that moment. And he did that for many, many times to me. And I know he loved me because he told me so. And he knew I loved him because of the same thing. But Eva was never jealous when I took him off for a week at camp, which I did for 168 days of our lives. And you know, it's a 7-hour drive down to camp, so there's quite a lot of time to talk. And I know how much Bob loved Eva and Michael and the rest of his family and friends, because he told me every time that we drove in the car. And Bob was a very, very big man. Very tall, very big. And I'm not a very tall, big woman. And the one thing that Bob did that made me feel different from the way I normally feel is that when we were on stage together, I never felt out of place because Bob was so big, he made me look ordinary, I think. And so when we danced, which we did every year once at the Puget Sound Guitar Workshop, I've seen some pictures that some people sent to me of us dancing, and we can hardly get our arms around each other because our belly to belly, it's way out there. So Bob was a big man, big heart, big friend, big special friend, and I'm glad to see so many of his other special friends here tonight, and I hope to visit with you later. Thank you.
Thanks. It looks like the next speaker is going to be somebody who should be introduced. My aunt, Galia Chud, Rita's mom, Galia Chud, and a very, very important person in Bob's life, Auntie Galia.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to mention something that I think is so very important and has as yet not been mentioned. I had a very close friend in LA who was, of course, against the Vietnam War, otherwise he wouldn't have been my friend. But he knew of a lot of young men who, of course, were opposed to the Vietnam War. And from time to time, he would phone me and tell me that he gave my telephone number and my address to a lot of young men he knew who were coming to Canada in order to evade that dirty Vietnam War. So one of the young men who came, do you remember Norman Pitt? Yeah. So I hosted a lot of young men who came, ate, stayed one day, sometimes a week, until they found other lodging. Most of them at that time ended up in, well, they were called hippie enclaves, but it was a safe place for them. So over a period of time, I met a number of young men avoiding the draft, and happily, Bob was one of them. I remember he came with another friend, Michael Goldberg, and he said hello, he was completely at home. You would have thought that I'd known him all his life. So the important thing is not my friendship with Bob, which was very, very deep, but the fact that we should give him credit for being brave enough to resist the war in Vietnam and act on his fear.
Susan.
Thank you. My name is Susan Lambert. I want to first thank Eva and Michael and all the family for your generosity in allowing us this evening, and your generosity in sharing Bob with us for all my activism, all our lives in activism. I first met Bob at my first annual general meeting of the BCTF. I came down from Prince Rupert and I walked into the room, and shortly after, Bob spoke. And I said to myself, that's the kind of organization I want to be a part of. And I know that he had that same effect on so many of us. Bob created the BCTF's values. He was a great leader. He wove us together. And he showed us the way, he showed us what a union should be and what a union could be. And for that, we are forever grateful. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, let the record show that for the first time in 44 years, there's a very good party in Vancouver, and Bob Rosen went home before the dancing was done. This is a historic moment. Like almost everybody in the room, I knew Bob as a stalwart member of our community, as somebody who was always on the picket line, always out standing for other people. In the last few years, I've had the very good fortune of having a wonderful, stoned, old man's friendship with him. We got stoned, we rode bikes, we played tennis, and we ate lots of duck. And I will always remember Bob's courage and his clarity, his love for his family, his heart-scalding honesty when he talked about his own flaws and the struggles he was making to be a better man. And let's say something about being a man in a time in which women quite properly have been taking us to task for all of our 6,000 years of shit. Bob and I talked a lot about that experience and about the hard lessons we learned and the gratitude we felt to the whole cohort of feminist women who went, wake up, grow up, be a real man. And that's what Bob was. It's hard sometimes to believe it's possible to be a proud man and not be a patriarch and a pig. And Bob, for all of his flaws and all of his courage and all of his groping in the world in the dark, the way we all do, was a good man and a better man at the end of his life than he was taught to be as a child. And that's a pretty good record. I'd like to believe that there is a commie heaven, a place where there's a huge choir right now where Bob is singing, where he's writing songs with Joe Hill and dancing with Emma Goldman and arguing with Rosa Luxemburg. I don't think so. I think what we have is what's right here. And he taught us in that last wonderful song that he wrote that home is where the heart is. So that means, look around you. You're Bob Rosen's home. You carry him in your heart, your memories, your story, your laughter. And I know that I speak for him in saying, this will be the best meal ever. So eat deeply, drink deeply, laugh, take care of a kid, see somebody safe to death. Bob told me a wonderful story about being in South Africa and playing music in a school. And I think in one of the proudest moments he ever had, when the teacher said, children, you can learn from Comrade Bob. And that's right. There's a lot for us to learn from Comrade Bob. And a lot to miss. So I join you in your grief and your celebration, and I look forward to a hell of a party in Bob's memory.
David, are you?
Yeah, good evening. David Stevenson here, Janine's dad and Brandon's granddad, and Andrew's dad, and just want to share with you a few things. I knew Bob in a very different way from most of you here. We did have some good times doing music together, and I'll be forever grateful for the role he played in Janine and Andrew's and Brandon's life, and took over when I wasn't available. I'm just going to try and play a little flute tune for here, a little lament that I wrote many years ago, and as a tribute to Bob and to Eva.
Hi. I probably didn't know Bob as well as a lot of people. I knew him off and on for about 20 years, but really when we worked together as teachers in Surrey, but really I came much closer in contact with him when he became a member of the board of directors of Co-Development Canada, which is an organization I work for. And I wouldn't want this event to go by without a mention also of the kind of deep commitment that Bob showed to the struggles for social justice in Latin America. Both, on the board of CODEV, but also supporting many of the Latin American communities here, in Vancouver. And I wanted to share just a little anecdote. It's not completely about Bob, but Bob played a major role inadvertently in increasing the understanding between Peruvian teachers and Canadian teachers. It was probably 6 years ago. We work a lot with teachers in Latin American teachers movements, and I have to admit that sometimes the Latin American teachers see we Canadian teachers as kind of mushy social democrats. And in this one occasion, we had the women's secretary from the Peruvian teachers up, and the Peruvian teachers are pretty hardcore. They're street fighters. They're constantly facing repression. A lot of their leadership belongs to a party called Red Homeland, which gives a bit of an indication of their alignment. And the women's secretary had been very touched by the warm welcome she received at the BC Teachers Conference, the applause, but I could see that she was still somewhat reserved. And Bob invited us to come to the sing-along that night. And when we walked into that room, as was mentioned before, there was 100 teachers sitting around, Bob with the guitar, leading the Internationale. And the women's secretary turned to me and said, "Oh, you are socialists." And I think that was an indication of the way that Bob helped build the bridge with some of our movements in Latin America as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and to remind people as well that there will be a camera in this corner if there's something that you would like to record, a memory to share, a thought to share. So we're coming close to that party. We know that that's what people are ready for. So just a couple of last minute things. First of all, to remind people that the Grand Partisan CD is for sale. It is $20, $15 if you're on a fixed or low income, $10 for a download card, and all of the profits from this and any of the other Grand Partisans merchandise. Imagine me saying that word, merchandise. Will go to CODEV, Co-Development Canada, and Independent Jewish Voices. We also want people to know that there will be a music concert in honor of Bob, an evening of music for social change on March the 10th at St. James Community Square with Fraser Union, Solidarity Notes, Grand Partisans, and tickets are also available in the foyer. I do want to take one more quiet moment to thank everyone so much who helped make this remarkable evening possible. To those who took the painful journey of sharing their thoughts and spoke with us, David, Bill, Ken, Jane, and Michael. To Earl Peach of the Solidarity Notes choirs, and to the Grand Partisans. To Gary Coward for the incredible decorations. To Alan Zisman for the sound. To Julius Fisher and his camera crew. To James Griffiths for being a DJ. To David Chudnovsky, Ruth Herman, Don Freeman, and Joanne Thornthwaite for helping to make it happen. To Benjamin Chudnovsky for the snacks you're about to eat. To Cafe Edico for the coffee and tea. To Janine Stevenson and Marty Schechter for their organizing, shopping, and the program. To Carolyn Brunt, Elaine Jones, Nancy La Liberté, and Brianna Stevenson for managing the food and drinks. To everyone who came today to help set up, to all of those who contributed to the sweet table, and finally, thanks for all you have done over the last months. Tonight, somebody said it, Bob would have loved tonight. And please know how much it means to all of us. I really want to echo what Michael said. If we take anything away from tonight, along with the commitment to social justice and living life to the full, and you know, if you like making every meal the best meal, I want to encourage us to take away from tonight how important it is to tell the people you love that you love them, to let people know now how important they are to our community. Bob would have loved this, and that's all I can say about that. Now we want to invite people to push the chairs back, to stack them. If people want to jam, you can do so in the corner. There are snacks and drinks. I think I should have said this at the beginning and maybe missed it in the tumult. I hope I'm not too late. If you haven't already identified a designated driver, please do so now. The Canada line is very close. You're all responsible. I don't want to be patronizing, but please enjoy carefully, drive carefully. Thank you so much for coming. And if some of us can help push the chairs back, let's party. Thank you.